If I could, I would certainly slow down AI and robotics, but I can't. It's advancing at a very rapid pace, whether I like it or not.
Is AI what keeps you up at night?
It used to be. At this point, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's nothing particularly keeping me up at night right now. I had AI nightmares many days in a row. What am I supposed to do about it?
What's your biggest irrational fear?
I try not to have irrational fears.
None?
If I find an irrational fear, I squelch it. I don't believe fear is the mind killer, so I'm not somebody who feels fear strongly.
Who's the funniest person you know in real life?
President Trump is very funny. He's got a great sense of humor.
President Trump is very funny.
He's very funny. He's like naturally funny. It's like somewhat effortless. I mean, when he was had Ed Mamdani in the office, and they asked him if he still thought the president was a fascist, and the president said, "Just say yes. It's easier that way. Don't worry about it. Just say yes."
Who do you look up to the most?
The creator.
What's your current position on God?
God is the creator.
You don't believe in God, though, do you?
Well, I believe this universe came from something. People have different labels. There's a lot coming down the pike.
Like what?
Starship. The degree to which a starship is a revolutionary technology is not well understood in the world. This is the first design where a reusable rocket is one of the possible outcomes, where success is in the set of possible outcomes.
Are you talking about V3 or V2?
Well, we could have made V2 reusable. There were a lot of performance improvements for V3, so it made sense to go to V3. There's like 10,000 different changes between V2 and V3, maybe more than 10,000 really. If there are historians in the future, they'll look back at Starship and say this is one of the most profound things that ever happened. You can think of historic events as where would they fit in the evolutionary Hall of Fame. You've got things like single-celled life, then you've got multicellular life, capturing mitochondria so that you have a power cell in the plant, in the cell. You've got like a power plant in the cell. You've got, differentiation into plants and animals, life going from oceans to land. And then also on that scale, probably in the top 10 is life becoming multiplanetary. There just aren't very many things that are in the top 10 of the evolution of life, or where you could basically say, you could evaluate any given civilization or any given life form on that scale. So life becoming multiplanetary, it's in the top 10. It needs to be sustainably multiplanetary, so not just visiting, but actually multiplanetary in the sense that if you have planetary redundancy. So if there were to be a catastrophe on one of the planets, the other planet would survive.
Are all of your companies...
Starship is capable of doing that for the first time in history, and no AI was used to create it. So the AI will appreciate that.
Are all of your companies working towards that same goal to help us become multiplanetary? Like, does the AI exist to be able to help life on Mars, or is that primarily for what is happening here currently?
Tesla is mostly about making sure life on Earth is good, and NXAI is about that too. Because multiplanetary means Earth's got to be good and you need another planet. Sometimes people think, because they have legacy templates, mental templates, they think that going to Mars is an escape from Earth. Or that it would be some place where billionaires would go or something like that. But actually Mars will be very dangerous, and the moon base will be also dangerous, much more dangerous and much less comfortable than Earth. So the people that would go in the early days to make life multiplanetary on Mars or the moon, they would have a much higher risk of death than if they stayed on Earth. And things would be cramped and uncomfortable. So that's the sales pitch for Mars. It's going to be uncomfortable. The food won't be as good as Earth. You might die. It's going to be a massive amount of hard work, and it may not succeed.
It's the same as when...
Do you want to go?
Same as when people came to America.
Yeah, you didn't want to be in Jamestown.
But people went anyway.
Yeah, maybe if there'd been social media back then, they would have saying, we're all dying. Here's videos of us dying. Would have probably put a damper on future voyages. A whole bunch of people just disappeared. They don't know what happened to them.
I get asked this a lot when I do interviews about you.
Me?
I got asked, everyone always thinks you're a very difficult person to work for. I think you're very kind.
Thanks.
Like, people think you are like a very demanding boss. I think that I've never heard you yell at any employee.
Yeah, I don't yell.
I think every employee who works at every single one of your companies is incredibly mission driven, which is unlike any other workplace I've ever seen. Starbase is the most inspirational place you'll ever go to.
Right.
Everyone is there to work on a singular goal. And so I think to me, the biggest misconception about you is how every employee at all of your companies are fiercely loyal because it's all mission driven, and you're a very good employer to work for. And I think people assume you're not. Right.
Well, why would they think anyone would work at the companies? I mean, talented people can go work anywhere they want. So they're only going to work at one of my companies if they want to. And if they're mistreated in some way, they would leave and go work somewhere else. I do have this theory about predicting the future, which is that the most interesting outcome is the most likely. which, if simulation theory is accurate, makes sense, because if anyone is simulating a wide range of futures, they're going to stop the simulation when it gets boring. Because this is what we do in our reality. If SpaceX is doing, or Tesla doing simulations to understand how a car would work, or a robot, or a spaceship, or something like that, we run all these simulations in the computer. And the simulations that we pay attention to are the ones that are the most interesting. Like the simulation where everything goes right on the rocket, we actually don't pay attention to, because that's not everything goes right simulation is fine. So we actually test when we simulate the rocket flight, we'll actually test all sorts of oddball situations. We don't have the simulation be totally wrong, because like if the rocket just explodes immediately, that's also not interesting. So it's like you need to find the envelope of possible flight paths where the rocket can make it to orbit and without exploding, and then if you find those boundaries, and then when you launch the actual rocket, you make sure it stays within those boundaries. Or another way to think of it is like we could be an alien Netflix, and that series is only going to get continued if our ratings are good.
Are the ratings good?
Yeah, but you can think of it like from a Darwinian standpoint. If you apply Darwin to simulation theory, then only the most interesting simulations will continue. Therefore, the most interesting outcome is the most likely. It's either that or annihilation. So really, we have one goal: keep it interesting. Well, I think it'll actually be that people don't have to work. It may not be that far in the future. Maybe only, 10. I'd say less than 20 years. My prediction is in less than 20 years, working will be optional. Working at all will be optional, like a hobby.
And that would be because of increased productivity, meaning people do not have to work?
They don't have to. Look, obviously people can play this back in 20 years and say, look, Elon made this ridiculous prediction, it's not true. But I think it will turn out to be true that in less than 20 years, and maybe even as little as, 10 or 15 years, the advancements in AI and robotics will bring us to the point where working is optional. In the same way that, like, say, you can grow your own vegetables in your garden, or you could go to the store and buy vegetables. So much harder to grow your own vegetables. but some people like to grow their vegetables, which is fine. But it'll be optional in that way, is my prediction.
If one were to argue that humans are innately competitive and everything is relative, from the time of hunters, somebody wanted to be the alpha hunter or the biggest farmer. If everybody gets a universal high income and everybody has enough,
what do you compete for?
It would be relative, right? Like if we all had enough is not enough.
Yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure, because we're really headed into the singularity, as it's called, which they refer to AI sometimes as the kind of like the black hole, like a singularity. You don't know what happens after the event horizon. It doesn't mean that something bad happens, it just means you don't know what happens. I'm confident that if AI and robotics continue to advance, which they are advancing very rapidly, like I said, working will be optional, and people will have any goods and services that they want. Like if you can think of it, you can have it, type of thing. But then at a certain point, AI will actually saturate on anything humans can think of. And then at that point, it becomes a situation where AI is doing things for AI, and robotics are doing things for AI and robotics because they've run out of things to do to make the humans happy. Because there's a limit. They say like people can only eat so much food, or But it's going to be, I think, if you can think of it, you can have it, will be the future.
The Austrian School of Economics, if you go back in time, with the digression from Adam Smith, they talk about the marginal utility of everything. Having one of something has value, having two of the same thing has lesser value, and having 10 of the same thing has no value.
Yes.
So if we could have everything we wanted,
like maybe 10 marshmallows. Who wants that? one's plenty.
By 2016, I had built this computer called the DGX-1. The one that you saw me give to Elon is called DGX Spark. The DGX-1 was $300,000. It cost NVIDIA a few $1 billion to make the first one. And instead of 2 chips SLI, we connected 8 chips with a technology called NVLink. But it's basically SLI supercharged. Okay. And so we connected 8 of these chips together instead of just 2. And all of them work together, just like your Quake rig did, to solve this deep learning problem, to train this model. And so we created this thing. I announced it at GTC and at one of our annual events. And I described this deep learning thing, computer vision thing, and this computer called DGX-1. The audience was like completely silent. They had no idea what I was talking about. And I was lucky because I had known Elon, and I helped him build the first computer for Model 3, the Model S. And when he wanted to start working on autonomous vehicle, I helped him build the computer that went into the Model S AV system, his full self-driving system. We were basically the FSD computer version 1. And so we're already working together. And when I announced this thing, nobody in the world wanted it. I had no purchase orders, not one. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody wanted to be part of it, except for Elon. He was at the event, and we were doing a fireside chat about the future of self-driving cars. I think it's like 2016. Yeah, maybe at that time it was 2015. And he goes, you know what? I have a company that could really use this. And I said, wow, my first customer. And so I was pretty excited about it. And he goes, yeah, we have this company. It's a nonprofit company. And all the blood drained out of my face. Yeah. I just spent a few $1 billion building this thing. It cost $300,000. And, you know, the chances of a nonprofit being able to pay for this thing is approximately zero. And he goes, you know, this is it's an AI company, and it's a nonprofit, and we could really use one of these supercomputers. And so I picked it up. I built the first one for ourselves. We're using it inside the company. I boxed one up. I drove it up to San Francisco, and I delivered it to Elon in 2016. A bunch of researchers were there. Peter Beal was there. Ilya was there, and there was a bunch of people there. And I walk up to the second floor where they were all kind of in a room, this smaller than your place here, and that place turned out to have been OpenAI. 2016.
Wow.
Just a bunch of people sitting in a room.
It's not really nonprofit anymore, though, is it?
They're not nonprofit anymore. Yeah.
Weird how that works.
Yeah. But anyhow, Elon was there. It was really a great moment. Oh yeah, there you go.
That.
Yeah, that's it.
Look at you, bro. Same jacket.
Look at that. I haven't aged. Not a lick of black hair though.
The size of it is it's significantly smaller. That was the other day.
Okay, so
SpaceX.
There you go.
Yeah, look at the difference. That's
exactly
crazy.
The same industrial design.
He's holding it in his hand.
Here's the amazing thing. DGX-1 was 1 petaflops. Okay, that's a lot of flops. And DGX Spark is 1 petaflops. 9 years later.
Wow.
The same amount of computing horsepower.
In a much smaller.
Shrunken down.
Yeah.
And instead of $300,000, it's now $4,000.
And it's the size of a small book.
Incredible.
Crazy.
That's how technology moves. Anyways, that's the reason why I wanted to give him the first one. Because I gave him the first one in 2016.
It's so fascinating. I mean, if you wanted to make a story for a film, I mean, that would be the story that, like, what better scenario, if it really does become a digital life form, how funny would it be that it is birthed out of the desire for computer graphics for video games?
Exactly.
Isn't it kind of crazy? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy when you think about it that way. Because
it just turns
perfect
out
origin story.
Which one of all the products and services that you're building has got you most excited today?
Well, I think that there's increasingly a convergence actually between SpaceX and Tesla and XAI, in that if the future is solar-powered AI satellites, which it pretty much needs to be in order to harness a non-trivial amount of the energy of the sun, you have to move to solar-powered AI satellites in deep space, which somewhat is a confluence of Tesla expertise and SpaceX expertise, and XAI on the AI front. So it does feel like over time there's somewhat of a convergence there. But all the companies are doing great things. Very proud of the teams. They do great work. So we're making great progress with Tesla on the autonomous driving. I don't know if you've tried the self-driving. Mm-hmm. Have you tried it?
I've tried it in the Waymo, not in the Tesla.
Yeah, it's worth. We actually have it here in Austin, so you can.
I'd love to try it.
You can literally just download the Tesla app.
Yeah.
And I think it's open to anyone.
Yeah.
Definitely try it out. I mean, you know how it goes. But we've made a lot of progress with electric vehicles, with battery packs and solar, and very much so with self-driving. So basically, real-world AI. Tesla is the world leader in real-world AI, I would say. So, and then we're going to be making this robot Optimus, which is, starting production hopefully summer next year, at scale. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. That'll be like, I think everyone's going to want their own personal C-3PO, R2-D2, helper robot. Like, it would be pretty cool. And then SpaceX is doing great work with the Starlink program, providing low-cost, reliable internet throughout the world. Hopefully India. We'd love to be operating in India. That would be great. We're operating in 150 different countries now with Starlink.
Elon is obviously an individual and like one of the most talented humans of all time, and a visionary who works harder than I can even imagine, works 16-hour days, 7 days a week.
He just
regularly.
works when he's awake.
I mean, and I think maybe even sometimes when he's sleeping or he doesn't sleep much, but I've tried to keep up with him a couple days, and like, I'm a pretty fit guy. I literally can't keep up with him physically. And so anyways, Elon as an individual is one of the most talented people in the world, but I view Elon as almost like there's a second thing. There's Elon the collective, which is probably about 20 people. I'm not going to name any of them. And there's, roughly 20 people that, have been working with him for a very long time. They've built unbelievable amounts of trust. They know they can almost read his mind, and they know what he would want to have done in some situation. And then they also know when they need to escalate a question to him. And this, like, you can't build this quickly. Mm-hmm. It kind of takes like a decade to really trust someone and to test the limits of what they can do, and test that they can do things at the highest possible level and almost like be a proxy for you. And I've actually never seen another entrepreneur that has done this the way that Elon has.
I'm kind of thinking of Mr. Beast is the only person that I've ever heard of. He basically tried to clone himself, and then he tried to have his like top lieutenants also clone themselves.
I love
with
that.
3 or 4 people each.
I know a little. I live in LA, so I know a little bit about Mr. Beast, the way he operates. I think that's a good analogy. But for basically all the other entrepreneurs I know in Silicon Valley, this is not how they operate, and it's really a superpower for Elon. It's not easy to replicate. First of all, Elon is just one of the best judges of talent on the planet. And like, I'm not going to name the person, but there's a very senior person that works for him who studied economics in college. And they went in for like a final interview with Elon. And he said, you're not going to do biz dev, you're going to do mechanical engineering, because the person he could just tell they're a very good engineer. And they literally studied economics. And the person rose up to be a very senior engineer. And this is the type of thing that it's like, you can't fake that. That is such a superpower, to be able to meet some young kid straight out of college, study economics, and be like, actually, you have an engineering mind. You're not doing biz dev. You're going to be a mechie. And so anyways, like, he's an incredible read of talent, and he gives people the rope to hang themselves. Like I said, people don't really know the difference between Falcon 1, Falcon 9, Starship. Like, if you just go ask someone, like, what's the difference between these rockets? Unless someone cares a little bit about rockets or thinks about engineering, they're not going to know the difference at all. But people can kind of intuitively, they understand, they can see a rocket landing, and they can see the difference between, I can't tell the difference of the payload mass or the orbit you can get to.
But
or
if it
like
blows up or it lands,
if it blows up, that's superlative. Or if like the rocket lands, like, this is a new paradigm, it's superlative that I can understand. And so I don't know, that's maybe how I, doing an Optimus demo where you have the robot. I was at the Tesla event, call it a year ago, whatever, in Hollywood at one of those.
Yeah, the whole city that they built.
And they had a bunch of Optimus walk out. And
talking about that, that's the only other person that I know of that's built a city is Mr. Beast for Beast Games, but gone.
Yeah. One, SpaceX fully built a city, and that Starbase is now officially incorporated as a city. But like that, showmanship of like actually walking out 20 Optimuses or whatever it was, like the way, I mean, my mind was pretty blown, and I think it's lost on video, but when they came out, because they were walking from probably like 30, 40 feet away from me down a road, and I really couldn't tell, like, are these human actors or are they, or are they robots? And, I was like, look, initially you look at the face as you would with a human. And so then I started like looking down the body. And then when you get to the waist, it was very narrow, non-human like. And so until I got to the waist, it looked like it could still be a human. And that's when I was like, oh man. And I knew that because it's like the Tesla event and, I knew it was going to be Optimuses, but I wanted to verify it with my brain. And when you see the torso is not human, like it's a very kind of profound, like, oh wow, this is actually a robot. Hell yeah, we're getting closer to the future.
We're living in the future a little bit.
We're living in the future. So that's that superlative experience that I think has nonlinear benefit in the psychology, where people start to understand, okay, this is close, this is real, in a way that they can't understand just looking at a chart. And this is something I think part of why Elon is so good at attracting capital is because he's so good at kind of these milestone superlative events and moments that capture the imagination and just like show you what's coming.
I do worry about the population decline. This is a big problem.
Why is that?
Well, I don't want humanity to disappear.
But a decline and disappear are completely different things, right?
Well, if the trend continues, we disappear. But also going back to, my philosophy, if you will, which is that we want to expand consciousness, then fewer humans is worse because we have less consciousness.
Do you think consciousness will go up by virtue of the number of people in there?
Yes. I mean, just like consciousness increases from a single cell creature to, a 30 trillion cell creature, we're more conscious than a bacteria. At least it seems that way. So a larger, human population will have increased consciousness. We're more likely to understand the answers to the nature of the universe if we have a lot more people than if we have fewer.
I don't have kids.
Well, it's maybe you should.
A lot of people tell me I should.
You won't regret it.
What's the best thing about having kids?
Well, I mean, you've got this little creature that loves you, and you love this little creature, and you kind of see the world through their eyes as they grow up, and their conscious awareness increases. From a baby that has no idea what's going on, can't survive by itself, can't even walk around, can't talk, to start walking, then talking, and then having interesting thoughts, and but yeah, I mean, I think we fundamentally have to have kids or go extinct. It's like.
Is there any ego in having a child? I often think of this when I see my friends with their kids. They're all seeing a reflection of themselves in their children. It's almost like...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's because Apple's not going to fall that far from the tree. Or something's wrong.
Right.
You're like, wait a second. Yeah.
I'll give you the example of a friend of mine who has a child, and each time the child does something good,
Yeah.
there is almost a sense of ownership and pride, where his ego is satiated because the kid is like an extension of himself. So is it validation?
Well, kids are going to be like, half you genetically, and then, to the degree that they're like growing up around you, there's going to be some transfer of, of understanding. Like they're going to learn from you. So then, obviously kids are just, going to be just half you from a hardware standpoint, and and then like, I don't know, some portion you from a software standpoint. Not to make sort of cold analogies or anything, but it's just, just obviously going to be some, they're going to be pretty close to you.
Do you pick a side in the nature versus nurture debate?
I think there's hardware and software, and it's a false dichotomy, essentially. At least there's, once you understand that a human is, like, there's a bone structure, there's a muscle structure, there's a if you think of the brain as somewhat of a biological computer, there's a circuit efficient, there's a number of circuits question and circuit efficiency. From a strength and dexterity standpoint, there's a speed at which muscles can actuate and the reactions can take place. So then the potential within that hardware is set by the software. So that's it.
Elon was on Lex's show a couple of years ago, and I think Lex asked him some question like, how are you doing? He replied and he said, people think they want to be me. They do not want to be me. They don't know. They don't understand. My mind is a storm. I'm like, that's the price you need to pay to be Elon Musk.
I think that was on this podcast.
Was it this one?
Yeah, because I asked him, like, what is it like to be, like, he's like, you wouldn't want to do it. You wouldn't want to be me. And you could tell, like, when you're in his eyes, like, it's not a normal thought process. It's like this chaotic tornado of ideas that's running around in his head. And that sometimes he spits them out on Twitter and they're not good.
Well, it's a problem when you own the platform, right? It's kind of, I can say what I want. It's my own house.
Well, he can, though. Like, but he's like that all the time. He's fun. He's like what I would want to see from a guy who's a super genius, like a playful guy who wants to go to Mars, who's making, like Jamie and I went on a tour of Starbase. What is it? SpaceX, Starbase, whatever the fuck it is. We saw the launch. We went to the SpaceX launch. And so we got a tour of the rocket factory, which is fucking insane. It's so much more insane than I thought it was going to be. I don't know how much we could even say, but it is nuts. It's nuts. And the sheer quantity of rockets that they're making is mind-blowing. Like, you're like, I thought they had a couple rockets. Just a couple rockets laying around. They're just making rockets.
I'm pretty sure they've put more stuff into space, just that one company, than like the entirety of the load that's being transported into space globally up until now.
They put stuff in space for their competitors. Yeah, they use their space rockets to put stuff in space for people that they're in competition with. They take the money.
Show me the color.
Like, we know how to do it. We're better at it than you, so we'll do it.
Fucking unbelievable, dude.
It's kind of nuts.
I think about that, like the sort of person you need to be to drive that, though.
It's a different kind of person, right? Like, that's what he wants to do. That's what he desires to do. And, this gentleman talking about golf, like, that's a totally different thing because he's in a competition all the time, And it's really hard to just enjoy the process when you're in this competition where, especially if your livelihood depends upon a very specific result. Like, you have to be better at this thing than everybody else. Not just do the best yourself, but better than the other people that are also doing their best. So you're in this constant, just never escaping this pressure. Fighters feel that, I think, more than anybody, because it's like an actual physical person coming to harm you all the time.